Welcome to the Invocation Podcast. We bring critical thinking and intelligence to you in an incredibly unintelligent way. Hello, and welcome to the Invocation Podcast. I'm Ignatius, and this is my buddy, old pal, Johnny Truant.
Hey.
Today we're talking about the life and tribulations of Terry A. Davis and his amazing operating system, the Temple OS. And just want to know if this was the computer operating system of a genius or a madman. We'll do our intro here, our intro music, I guess. I tell you, Mark wrote something for that.
Yeah, no, did he?
Yeah, so we got a little intro music. Pretty cool. What a cool guy.
I should probably hear that.
I will, as soon as I actually splice one of these episodes together, we'll get to it.
Yeah, no.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to our second episode of the Invocation Podcast. What are you up to today, Johnny?
I am sipping a Perrier.
Oh yeah, I got one of them ginger monsters. That's definitely an acquired taste, and I've acquired it.
That sounds pretty terrible.
It is, but I like it.
Like a ginger ale monster?
No, it's just I don't know how to describe it. I think like one of the white monsters just was an overpowering ginger aftertaste.
You said ginger monster. I'm like, this is some like new horror genre, or the Irish come. And they want your soul, or maybe.
I was thinking more of a soft drink, but we could do that too. I could be sipping one of them.
Just sipping one of them.
Yeah. Alright, so let's get into today's topic. We're talking about Terry A. Davis and the Temple operating system. A very biblical operating system. I'm not quite sure how to describe this thing.
Luminous. It looks pretty basic. I don't know. There's probably a lot of or there might be someday, who knows, listeners who don't know what we mean when we mean, an operating system that's just from itself, the ground up,
Well, by that point, I think we'll be dead. So I'm not too worried about it.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping to knock off, by the end of this episode.
His operating system since the beginning kind of looks like a Commodore 64 OS on crack.
I think that's what he described it as one time in one of the forums.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's got 16 colors. I think the original iteration was only 640 by 480 resolution. And he had promised at some point that he was going to increase the resolution. He was going to increase the color. I'm not sure if this is the proper term, the bit rate for the colors or whatever. But at some point he's like, yeah, 16 colors is pure. This is I'm not going to do anything more than this. And I don't know if he just didn't have the technical know-how to get past that 16 colors or didn't want to or whatever. But he's like, yeah, 16 colors is pure. I'm not going past this.
I'm looking at a game he had called Digits. The icon looks like one of those Hasbro Simon games.
Uh-huh.
But that also looks like the Windows icon. I don't know, after reading about this guy, I'm looking for symbology and everything he's ever done, so...
I wouldn't look too deep. I don't even think he knew what he was talking about half the time.
You're probably right.
So this operating system originally started as something called Loosethos. And
I think it's... I real quick correction. I think it is Low-Set Hose.
Low-Set Hose?
Yeah. I've never heard it spoken to know, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to be pronounced.
It does look a lot like that, huh?
So Low-Set Hose, Quebec.
So, do you think this is actually the biblical operating system he was talking about, or was he talking about women with low center of gravity?
I don't know. He's an enigma wrapped in a riddle. He was
dipped in cheese. I know.
Dipped in cheese. He's a unique character. Like, I don't know. You listening to him and reading the things that he's posted over the years, you get the impression that he may be saying all this kind of crazy stuff, but like in the end he seems to be like, all right, I am just this guy who made this, and please give me criticism, but if you say anything bad about it, I'm going to call you an idiot and accuse you of being CIA, and it's just, he made something, and he didn't really care if it worked or it integrated with anything useful. I don't know if that was, if because when it was done, it, to him, it was self-contained, and he saw divinity in it. I don't know. You can go nuts, trying to piece together his ramblings.
Maybe that was his downfall. I don't know. Anyway, the entire endeavor, like, it seems like, even by when he first started it, even by that day's standards, it seemed like just a really low tech operating system. But
yeah, like a project. You'd be like, hey, like, this is a project in programming school.
Yeah.
Make a basic kind of, but maybe like post grad. And instead of going on to useful things, he just kept working on
Yeah.
the OS that he made in high school.
Well, even as an amateur project, that what he did, like, even writing as much of the operating system as he did, to have a file system and to have the compiler he was talking about, and to be able to run at the level he was running was like a feat by himself. That's really impressive, at least to me. My biggest scripting endeavor to date was around 1,000 lines of code, and that was just attempting to automate most of my last job so I could fart around on the internet forever.
Well, he said he scripted 129,000 himself.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, I don't know how a normal OS develops. I mean, the biggest thing, of course, it builds on an existing OS.
Yeah.
So a lot of the square one, inventing wheel, does not have to happen again. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing it from the ground up, and it seemed like he was describing it in some of his writing as almost that the fact that it didn't integrate with anything else, like no wireless or printer,
yeah.
like, and the fact that it didn't mesh with Linux or Windows at all.
Yeah.
To him, that was almost like a selling feature. Not a selling feature because it's open source, but as a feature, not a bug.
Well, there's some article that someone wrote on it about this entire operating system. It gives you like kernel access, like really low level hardware access, and it basically takes out a lot of the barriers between the user and the hardware itself for programming, which is pretty cool. Now, actually getting a program to work on that was a whole other story, because it seemed like some people had actually tried. They were writing stuff in I forget what programming code he had on there that you could run. It was C or C++ or something like that. And someone tried to actually get a program to run on it. He's like, man, I'm having a hard time making heads or tails of this.
Yeah, apparently everything flashes. Like, everything is constantly flashing.
Seizure.
That's what I read. I haven't gotten looked at any tutorials of this thing in action, but
maybe that should be our next endeavor. I'm gonna try to get this operating system running on a virtual machine, and then we could play around with it. Yeah, see if I can find So maybe I don't know. Maybe someone has a virtual hard drive of it somewhere already running, so we don't have to do a lot of work on it. But at some point he had on his website about this: empowers programmers with kernel privilege because it's fun, allows access to everyone because it's fun. It has no bureaucracy because it's fun. It's the way it is by choice because it's fun. He just uses this over and over because it's fun. But I don't know. This is a sentiment I can kind of appreciate. It's just I don't know if he really knew what he wanted or was able to verbalize what he wanted, but he went out and did it. He wrote what he wanted. He gave his operating system personality. It's not like other operating systems. It's the way he wants. And don't get me wrong, the music is awful and the colors are awful, and he's a gun away from being a militant theist, but the man knew what he wanted.
Yeah, no, he yeah, I memean, I'm struggling to find what this might do besides, like, if it wasn't for Terry Davis's personality, would this actually have gotten, as much acclaim as it did? Like, I know it didn't get acclaim, and then he was crazy, and then got some more acclaim, but then he died, and it got more acclaim, but does it do anything? Does Temple OS do anything that something else did? What I'm asking is Temple OS known and noteworthy, because of Terry Davis, or does it do anything standalone besides being a relatively small OS?
No, it was probably his just his ramblings and his almost narcissistic. Well, I guess it was narcissistic personality. He'd often claim himself the best programmer in the world and God's chosen programmer, and all sorts of fun beliefs.
Sounds like Maddox.
And I know there are operating systems out there that I'm sure not, maybe a handful of people know about. And it's probably because it was someone's passion project, just like, okay, I want to know how an operating system works, so I'm going to work on coding one from the ground up or something like that. I'm sure there is other people out there like that. But I can't think of anything that this really adds except a very powerful biblical theme across the entire operating system. I can't think of any Linux distributions that offer that, or any version of the Mac operating system, or any version of Windows that is just powerfully godly.
Yes, I would probably agree. You wonder, like, okay, there is someone else doing this, or something like this, but it's not. One, it's not famous, because the creator's not eccentric. Two, it's like, okay, cool, I know how this works now. I'm going to stop building it after 6 months, and move on to something else.
Yeah.
I'm going to, hey, this is what I made, give me a job kind of thing, or hey, I'm going to, since I know how this works now, go to start messing with Linux, instead of, this. I mean, it seems like there's almost a parallel between the isolation and the non-integration of the OS, and the isolation and the non-integration of Terry Davis himself. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, think about, I guess Linux would be a popular example, was written by Linus, I forget his last name, Trevold or something like that. And a lot of people strongly associate the Linux kernel with Linus. He was, it's pretty big with him. I guess we can associate...
That's the dude with a blanket, right?
Yeah, probably. I think it's the dude that does Linus Tech Tips. They're one and the same. He stole some souls, became younger, and now he just does tech advice on computers.
Okay.
I could be very wrong about that, though, so they just share the name Linus? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, we do associate a lot of these operating systems with big people, Windows with Bill Gates, and the Apple OS with Steve Jobs, and now Temple OS with Terry Davis.
Yeah, I guess you can't really separate the one from the two. I mean, long enough period of time, I suppose you can separate, it's not always clear cut like that, I mean, try to separate Lovecraft, the work, from Lovecraft, the man, depending on who you're asking, they cannot be separated.
Yeah. So, when in the early days, when he was talking about this operating system, Lustos, he designed it with no networking capabilities, no printing abilities. There was no real connectivity with anything else. There's no way to really output with this thing. And he claimed that it should be used in conjunction with another operating system, but at that point, why not just use that other operating system?
Exactly.
With other modern operating systems, Linux is good for programming. The Apple OS, the Mac OS for a long time was viewed as good for anything media related, so video and audio and stuff like that. And they did have good programs for a while. And then the Windows operating system was more for a professional environment, using the Office settings, stuff like that. There's been a lot of crosstalk, so you can use any of the Office software in Linux, or you can use any of those Office software in the Mac OS now, but you can't use any of that crap in Temple OS.
Yeah. We said the multimedia apps for Apple,
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I hear someone say, "Oh, I'm probably gonna get a Mac," or "Hey, I got a Mac," whatever, I just want to design a bingo card, for their justifications for getting a Mac, And
Yeah.
it's just gonna be one square, and it's just gonna say the multimedia.
Is multimedia every free space on there?
Yeah, every free space. It's like, like I had someone recently, a close friend, and she was talking about getting a Mac, and I'm like, well, there's lots of reasons why that's not good, Like, I mean, hey, everything you have is going to sync to iTunes, by the way, and also things that you like to use, or maybe you like to use on PC, may or may not work, and X amount of other things,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I don't know if you can center click anymore on a Mac. Remember, you couldn't before. They probably fixed that.
Oh, there's a long time you couldn't even right click on it. So
yeah, that's right. It had the one. If you were maybe the penguin and had only just the index and the flipper as far as fingers.
Oh yeah.
But no, sure enough, she brought up, like, well, just the how it comes with this great software for video editing and stuff. I'm like, oh, come on, like, why is that why you're getting it? Come on, like,
for all those
literally,
movies you
I've
make.
never heard anybody else say why they might want to, except for like that reason. Or they like the aesthetics of it.
Oh yeah, they are admittedly beautiful machines. I worked in tech for a long time. I don't enjoy working on them particularly, especially the iMacs, those all-in-one, because you have to take the entire screen off in order to work on anything behind it, and that's a pain in the ass.
We've actually the ones where on Zoolander, she said the files are inside the computer, and they just grabbed the Mac and just smashed it.
I haven't seen Zoolander in a long time, so I don't.
Okay, I think that was the one. They come in colors,
Oh, that's
looks like a monitor with a.
Yeah, those are the older iMacs, I believe. Like before they're the big flat screens they are now.
I'm a layman. Continue.
So I don't know why you would dual boot to this operating system without. I mean, it seems like anything that can be done on this operating system can be done better on other operating systems. He initially claimed it was good for programming, but
come with big guns and psalmody and digits and some game called Rawhide.
Random hymnal generators.
Random hymnal generators.
Yeah,
yes.
Don't worry about that. That was a big thing for him. He used random number generators linked to dictionaries, and he would put up like posts on Twitter or claiming on YouTube or blog posts on his website or whatever, and it was just God says, and then it looked like just a random string of words.
Yeah, the Gutenberg.
And it was just his random number generator linked to that dictionary, and he claimed that was God talking to him. He claimed to be able to talk to God. Those. I don't know. This guy is very, very interesting. His life and this entire operating system endeavor. Just,
it's, I mean, which came first, the crazy evangelical, or the schizophrenic,
Yeah. Well,
it's, I mean, not saying anything bad about evangelicals and stuff. It's just that it seems like this kind of behavior, and someone being schizophrenic, or someone maybe abusing drugs or something like that, just points to something safe. Like you're like, okay, I am isolated. I don't trust the TV. I don't trust what people are talking about on the internet. And the world is changing very fast. Like the Bible hasn't been updated, in a long time, and it's safe, and I don't know where I'm really going with that, but I see a lot of overlap there.
Would you follow this guy if he told you he was God's chosen programmer?
Yeah, I'd let him program for me, but other than that, no.
He's the best programmer on the planet. I mean, his words, not mine.
I mean, I gotta believe him,
And he claimed he was a high priest of God's official temple.
You repeated his words, so that's you saying it, so that's probably just a direct quote from you also when you think about it.
Oh shit. Are we gonna start a cult, dude? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Alright.
God, I'd like to do an episode sometime about the rise of cults and occultism, and the in an age where almost no questions are left unanswered. It seems like the deep space and the human genome and the bottom of the ocean are not quite figured out yet, but everything else is pretty much figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritualism and religion are just as prevalent and strong as they were, 150 years ago, kind of thing. It's the tendency for people to, and it's not just religious, cults. It's also the cult of personality.
Mm-hmm.
People want to, human beings, look for something like that. So they'll say something to believe in. I don't know if that's if that's just a truism for some people, but I know a lot of people though need something. You can look at the not to digress too much, but look at the Great Crusade story, lore behind Warhammer 40K, and even though the Emperor banned religion and says there are no gods and stuff, I'm like, well, we're just gonna worship you, because you're pretty slick man.
What did I just fucking say about this?
What did I just fucking say? Yeah. No, I think it's a nature, a tendency in human beings. It's a tendency for hierarchy, and for a lot of people, the absolute hierarchy is a higher power.
Well, it's not just that. It's I think religion is a good way to explain away the unknown. In the past we had the Roman gods who would pull the sun across the sky in a chariot, and the ones who would. Yeah, you think they still do that?
Well, I saw the sun go across the sky today, so I assume they still do that.
Oh yeah. Well, I have no way to refute you, so. And the ones who would go across the fields and shit in them to fertilize them, and just little things like that.
Yeah.
We had no way of explaining it at some point, and so we came up with the fantastical. We came up with stories and religion around it, and so I think there's still a lot to be said about the unknown, or what you think is unknown, or what you believe is unknown. A lot of anti-intellectualism, but let's,
that and atheism is cringe as fuck, bro.
Yeah, bro, I know. That's why I'm double atheist. I have ascended.
Cancel itself out.
Let's get back to the topic at hand. I think that's something good to go into, and something I like to go into soon is the ego and identity politics and anti-intellectualism and stuff like that.
I have plenty to say about that stuff.
Yeah. So, but we could spend 2 hours talking about that, or we can get back to Terry Davis and his amazing operating system that we should all definitely switch to right now.
Seriously, it's just anybody who hasn't seen it, just go and watch a demo of it, or just look for some screenshots. It's pretty bad.
Oh, something I didn't check really is his YouTube channel still up? Because he has just hundreds of videos that he uploaded to that.
I don't know.
He had a ton of demos on it.
Computer, so.
He had a ton of demos on it. At some point, he believed he had attracted the attention of Larry Davis, one of the co-founders of Google, and he made over 100 videos. Or sorry, Larry Page, one of the founders of Google. He created over.
Look, Larry David, isn't that the? Never mind. Go ahead.
It's the creator of some comic or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So he created over 100 videos addressed specifically to Larry Page, thinking that that I guess Google was going to start using Temple OS or something like that, and so he's just showing off the features and stuff like that. And so there was a lot of videos for that.
Oh God.
Did you find anything?
No.
Anything?
There's a video of him explaining how the CIA glows in the dark. There's a Let's Play of all the Temple OS games.
Oh hell yeah, dude! That's what we should do. We should do
I'll look up that later.
we should do a Let's Play of those videos.
I don't even know. I don't know. Like, I was doing research about him, and I'm like, okay, let's go to Encyclopedia Dramatica. And that's down too now. I don't know if that was taken down or what, but it's down.
They know we're researching this guy, and it's too powerful. They got to stop us.
Well, other people have researched him probably better than I could explain.
And have we heard from them lately? I don't think so.
No, you're right.
So
Wenceslas. It looks like Worcestershire. I'm looking at his games.
God, the simple graphics and just I don't know. There was a really nice degree of technical aptitude behind. If you watch some of the demos of the games, there's like 3D movement and stuff like that. Objects get bigger, and that's really impressive to program from scratch, to program by hand.
He's got Span and Strut, which I think are the bridge and architecture building games, respectively.
Oh hell yeah! Do you think he has any physics simulators? I know you're a fan of those.
Oh yeah, the bridge building game is a physics simulator.
Bridge building game. We'll do a Temple OS themed open world survival game.
It's on a job site, and it's talking a lot of engineers and stuff, and one of the different kind of engineers was playing a bridge building game, and everybody else looking around it, looking like, hey, it's like playing that and whatever. And apparently there's a whole class you take, when you're being an engineer, like a structural engineer and stuff, of why bridges are hard to make, and you should do anything in your power as a planner not to make a bridge. Like it's easier to plan, and less liability if you literally tunnel through a mountain than build a bridge.
I must have pissed off all my engineers in SimCity then, because I built bridges everywhere. We got to relieve the traffic, so we need 40 bridges within this mile span.
Like planning, and just like likelihood of collapse of a tunnel through a mountain, a 2-mile tunnel through a mountain is less than just a bridge. Even simple bridges, like after you get to a certain amount of weight, that they have to hold, it's really hard to engineer them correctly, apparently.
Oh, do you think that's just a fault of the bridge, or do you think that's just because fucking spaceships and monsters keep crashing into them?
Are you talking about the Mothman?
I'm talking about Godzilla. Haven't you ever watched that documentary?
It was a documentary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, they fall when bridges collapse. 7. No, I don't know. We're talking about bridge builder. We'll talk about these games. All right, now we should just do another Let's Play. Just get really drunk.
Sounds like a good plan.
And play these games.
All right, so we're gonna get this operating system working. We're gonna do a Let's Play of all these games. Got it.
Tree checkers.
We should hire some programmers to try to network this together so we can make a multiplayer.
Multiplayer bridge span game.
Hell yeah.
No, we were back to his. I had something else to input. I forgot what it was about his random number generator that was giving him like whatever God says.
Yeah.
That seems really familiar. Like someone else is doing that, or someone else parodied that. I mean, looking at this guy and looking what he did, it's easy to think that this happened. This was in the late '90s or something like that. But he's been developing it for a while. But he only died like really recently.
Yeah. No. The entire thing happened really, really recently. Actually, some of it is more. I want to call them esoteric things happened as recently as like 2016, 2017. So it's not like he was doing it like during the Windows 95 days or anything. It's just fairly recent happenings. Oh man, and this poor guy just started kind of going downhill. He would claim that the CIA was after him. He'd at some point, several times, he claimed that he killed a CIA agent with his car. Like he ran him over with the car or something like that. He claimed psychotherapists were doppelgangers that were CIA agents.
Wait, he claims he killed a CIA agent with his car?
Yeah. That was actually one of his most infamous posts on his website, his blog posts. He changed the website to be that shit baby blue that he had in a lot of the Temple OS. His overall color scheme was just this like really bright cyan blue and dark blue borders. And he had a blog post on there that he just went off on this ramble that he's in a CIA prison run by CIA. I'm gonna leave out these racial slurs because I'm a I hope I'm a better man here.
Well, he goes into like explaining like how the CIA is the devil.
Yeah,
he was using the language of the devil or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but he said he was in the CIA prison and the CIA operatives were looking over him, and the only way to keep them at bay was to admit your sins or something like that. And so he just admitted, I guess, all of his major sins over his life, and it was like pleasuring himself to the thought of his niece, talking about a dog licking him in his private areas, fantasizing about leading an army like in Dune. But then he's like, oh yeah, but they're all Mexicans and dirty black people and all this stuff, and just
he was definitely
he claimed in that very same post that in 1999 he ran over a CIA agent and killed him. And so I don't know if there's like maybe some random hit and run somewhere in 1999 that he had committed or something like that, or if this is some action, some scenario that he thought up and actually truly believes. It came out eventually that he was diagnosed schizophrenic.
It's true. I mean, he could have just hit someone with his car and later like spun that into, okay, I think this guy is following me. Okay, he's definitely following me. Okay, he's definitely CIA. Let's kill him, kind of thing.
And also around the time that that post went up, he attracted the attention of 4chan's technology board, and a lot of the people on that board kind of cheered him on. They would like follow his live streams and videos and stuff like that and cheer him on. But as is the natural course for 4chan, he also started to be harassed, and I don't think we need to go much into details about this, but there was this was probably a big part of his later downfall. You can go to his early stuff, and it was just mostly a lot of anti-atheist rhetoric.
He posted like a whole lot on
the atheist board
subreddit,
Yeah.
Just like they would just ignore him, or like downvote him, and he was making other accounts to respond to himself, and
yeah. But it started like compared to the later stuff, it seemed fairly benign. Just atheists are dirty, they're going to hell. Typical biblical rhetoric,
No lie detected.
And he started going into just crazier and crazier conspiracy theories about the CIA and how he was God's chosen programmer. And he would have conversations with God through his Temple OS by offering tribute, and that tribute could be just a prayer or something like that. And he would think that like if God talking to him through his operating system didn't make sense, or it was bad or something like that, it was because he didn't offer the right type of tribute, or he just.
Well, did he go into the responding back? Was that random number generator?
That was the random number generator translated into dictionary words, was God talking to him. That's what his belief was, or that's what he claimed at least.
I mean, it's weird that the juxtaposition of someone who is of science, and someone who is religious seems like, to the layman, seems really like, okay, that's weird, That's kind of like steampunk, Like, hey, why are those two things together? And even to me, it's kind of odd, But like Thomas Aquinas, and Isaac Newton, and a lot of inventors and luminaries were religious people. But for him, it's like, okay, I know how this random number generator works.
Yeah.
Which one was he using anyway?
Something he programmed into Temple OS. But the funny thing to me, now that you mentioned that, is he had to have programmed that, and as far as I know, there is no true random number generator.
No, there's not. There's things that come close.
It's just based on some other environment in the computer. So they are quasi-random, not true random. So he knows how this works. He knows that it's not truly random. He knows that these words coming back to him are the result of some other set of variables. But he believes it's God talking to him. That's the strange thing to me.
Yeah, okay, the random variable is the I've heard it described also as destiny versus free choice, like the chemicals in your brain, it can be with close enough observation and science, you can based on the chemicals in your brain decide what action you will take, to a very fine degree of certainty. But there's, the only thing that upsets that apparently is like quantum mechanics, like the superposition of two atoms or an atom in two places at once kind of thing. That's the randomness of that is the only thing that would possibly decide, But even so, it's like, there are simple things we do, simple like, hey, polls based on, do this short survey and I can tell you, probably predict whatever you would do for this kind of thing. It's like, it's there's a very, very small chance, when you look really close, of something being random or something being of choice, kind of thing. It seems like you're right. He would have known that. I don't know. We've talked before about compartmentalization, though. People holding two different beliefs that are seemingly opposed to each other, and then some kind of compartmentalization in their heads that lets them hold both of those, even though they're in conflict.
Yeah. I've had discussions with other people about free will too, human free will, or the appearance of free will. But it seems like almost, I would say, every decision that we make in our lives is due to genetics, how the myelin in our brains is built up, and our upcoming and I guess decisions we've made in the past. But those decisions are based on decisions before that. It's a very, very complex, seems like a human program of some sort, but
so free will is not possible, but predicting it is not practical.
Yeah, that seems pretty close. I don't believe we have free will, but we have what seems like free will. We're able to think about it and say, yeah, I make my own decisions and I make decisions based off this and this and blah blah blah, whatever you might decide. But this is really just chemicals in your brain, and they're reacting with each other. That's what it seems like to me. But again, this is a topic for another time.
What's that comic? It's like you have no free will. You merely trust the chemicals in your brain. Your actions are merely a response to chemicals in your brain. And then the other guy's like, fool, you trust the chemicals in your brain when they tell you that they are chemicals. Like, the only thing was like in the end, there's no objectivity. It's like it's like when you stand and fight or when you die like a dog. It's that one fucking it's Mickey and Goofy like talking. Like I don't know what the actual. It's probably some discussion that someone made them saying. Can we take a short break? I'm gonna take a leak, man.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. When we come back, we'll talk more about the later years, and the he died.
Spoilers, jeez, fuck.
Spoilers. All right.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. We are back from our break. We've got up and stretched our legs to 30 meters, and now we're having a hard time recoiling it, so...
Yeah. That's too many meters in a row.
Yo, one time I stretched my... Alright.
Did you watch much of the Tom Green show back in the day?
No. I think I watched some of the... Are you talking about the one that actually had skits, or his talk show?
The skits one.
No. I watched a few of the skits. I think I watched some of them on YouTube or whatever.
You'd find the oldest, most objectionable person to know and started just bugging them and trying to provoke them to physical violence.
That sounds like Tom Green.
Or he went to some viewing of some house, for some old Asian guy, and he starts opening his liquor cabinets. It's like, oh, I'm really interested in this house, and they just start drinking, and they end up breaking a bunch of stuff in the guy's house. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll call you, and then he just leaves. What the fuck?
I remember I was watching Malcolm in the Middle recently, and there was a scene that he had a cameo in.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
I gotta check that out.
It was I guess Hal has some bad luck with introducing him to new coworkers, especially important higher up executives and stuff like that. And one of them was I guess his boss's wife or something like that, or his daughter or something like that. And he does something, he trips over a table and she gets something lodged in her throat. And so Tom Green is there. And she's like, she can't breathe. Typical over the top fucking Tom Green acting, where he's almost asking for attention, whatever. But I'm like, oh, what the fuck is Tom Green doing in this episode of Malcolm in the Middle?
Oh, random cameos, It's the spice of life,
Yeah.
So, all right, we're talking about Terry Davis.
Yeah.
Who's actually
we're talking about Tom Green and his amazing operating system.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're the same person.
Tom Davis.
Terry Green. Terrence Greenwald.
There we go. We should fund Tom Green writing an operating system, see what he comes up with. You remember his website way back in the day?
I remember his website, yeah.
Going there in high school, and that stupid pop-up that came up. You sure you want to delete your entire C drive?
You click yes or no, and it's the same thing, deleting now. It's the picture of his face. Oh. Yeah, I remember I walked in and you and Gilstrap were on that site. Oh,
it's a good website.
Funny. Yeah, it was good stuff.
So anyways, this guy, he'd put some pretty crazy stuff on his website and attracted the attention of 4chan, and things kind of went way downhill from there. So we're looking at one of those, massive exponential curves. It's going kind of slightly downhill and then just fucking drops off the face of the planet like a roller coaster.
Yeah, well, you gain notoriety. You're bound to attract bad seeds.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Those phone calls or something else. They found his phone number and started calling him at his house. And so you'd see...
was he doing it? Was he doing a live stream?
I think so.
It started because it's not a call-in show. Not a call-in show. It's like if we were doing this show, we're doing a recording, and someone just called. Hold on, real quick, and it's just
asking him which compiler is superior, whatever. I liked his claims all those times. You're either a bad programmer or one that's written a compiler. And so it's just there are two types of people. People who have written compilers and people who haven't written compilers. And Okay.
Yeah.
That broadens things out, I guess. Narrows it down. I wonder if that was his dating pool too. You know, he's looking for someone who's also written a compiler, and then they could have a compiler off.
That's his dating pool. So like, I want to Google right now. People who have written compilers. How many of them are alive? And would have been alive?
How many are bachelors? Bachelorettes.
Yeah, how many are bachelorettes?
So I think at some point, in addition to doing let's plays of all his games, I think we should make a rap album based on the atrocious music that played to the hymns and his homepage.
I agree. You know, with the caveat that the lyrics should be generated from that Gutenberg random word number generator.
Yeah. All right. We'll keep hitting the generate button until something comes up that rhymes. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to go to that music.
I mean, there's a weird link. You mentioned how he began getting some notoriety, you know, and then 4chan discovered him, or he discovered 4chan, or whatever. 4chan is not above. Actually, it's very central to their how they do placing like mysticism, you know, and like veracity of a claim, you know, is based on if that person got doubles or not, you know, which is, I mean, that's right up the alley of Terry Davis and his random word number generator, Voice of God. I wonder if he discovered that phenomenon if it was brought to him.
Do you think he made some claim on 4chan and said, "Hey, this is God's operating system," and that post had doubles?
I mean, it had to be true. That's the thing about. That's the thing about 4chan, though. It's all anonymous, so you don't know who is making what claim.
He was shitposting in style. He said, "God says," and then he would randomly generate some stuff, and that's how you knew it was him.
Yeah.
That was the signature on the post. Oh man.
I mean, we get all kinds of mysticism in popular culture, like mysticism and predicting and time travel. You know, there's the whole around the Simpsons, how they inadvertently predicted many things,
like Trump getting elected president, and
yep. Do you remember when Ralph Wiggum was running as the presidential candidate? His motto was to make America great again. It was trippy, you know. It's like 5 years before 2016 election.
Do you think this is an actual prediction, or is this just he's the Simpsons have been out for so long? There's bound to be some overlap between fiction and reality.
Right. There's a phenomenon where someone says, "Hey, you know, like." I'm seeing the number 23 everywhere. Like, well, if you weren't fixating on the number 23, you'd probably see a different number everywhere.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I don't know what the, someone told me, you know, the rate when we're awake in which we take in data, like like the bit rate for visual, audio, all senses at once, you know, like it's really, really big, you know, and how our brain stores it is different than how a machine stores it.
Mm-hmm. That's actually there's some thought behind artificial intelligence and programming that is that as humans we naturally figure out how to filter out data so we can learn to recognize certain sounds past every other sound being created.
Yes.
Vacuums will generate a huge amount of local noise, but past that vacuum we can hear a dog barking, and we can recognize that's a dog barking, and we can single that out past the vacuum.
Oh yeah, I mean,
versus the machine listening to it.
Machine pattern recognition is one of the hardest things to overcome. I mean, as far as like human pattern recognition, I was looking at a comic by the dude that does the stick figures, XD, XK, what is that guy?
XBCD.
Yeah. It's like, he drew a picture of a kid with a little kid with a lasso and a cowboy hat, and a cat there, and a table, and a broken lamp on the floor next to the table, you know, and his mom like looking behind him, you know, like, hey, what did you do? And It's like I was like, I showed this to my mother, and she immediately could deduce what happened there.
Mhm.
But if you gave a list of scenarios of what could have happened, like to a machine, it would spend a long time, because we are very good at recognizing patterns, especially patterns that patterns of human being
Behavior and
behavior
the
and
consequences of
stuff.
said patterns.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. No.
I mean, if you just gave those machines some random number generator, they could figure out that God actually broke the lamp.
Well, that's the truth, and we know that. Like,
Yeah.
I could show that picture to a dog, and the dog would know that it was God that broke the lamp.
Well, the dog just needs the random number generator, and then it's
Well,
it's
the
good to go.
dog is not a computer.
Yet.
Yes. All right. We were shit posting, and then we went. Where were we?
Oh man! At some point, Terry Davis put up on his website a list of demands to other technology companies.
Yeah, you said he demanded that they.
He wanted other operating systems to be compatible with his own operating system. He wanted motherboard BIOSes to be compatible with Temple OS, and he claimed it would be cool if the Temple OS was burned into the motherboard ROM, like every motherboard ROM that came out. So you wouldn't have to worry about Windows or the Mac OS or Linux or anything like that. You could just boot up to Temple OS because it was already built into the motherboard of these big companies. And that's just like, I know he was crazy. He was off his rocker. He believed he was God's anointed programmer, but just demanding that other companies kind of bow to him and put his backwards Temple OS into a motherboard ROM, something that's it isn't terribly easy to reprogram. It's just this is a really funny thought to me. He had this list of demands for the motherboard BIOS is burning into the ROM. He had all those videos addressed to Larry Page. He wanted other operating systems to be compatible with Temple OS, like he complained about their file systems and stuff like that. So all this stuff was amazing. You there, man? I think I lost you.
Nope. Was muted.
All right, there we go. Oh man. So yeah, I don't know what. There isn't much more I can say about this. This guy he was schizophrenic. He believed he was God's chosen programmer. I've mentioned that several times already. He believed he was the best programmer in the world, and that's why he was God's chosen programmer. And he just started kind of a downhill spiral, and that led to him being kicked out of his house after several altercations with his parents. He was living home with his parents after being diagnosed schizophrenic, and he was living off disability checks for a while. And
yeah, it's definitely a sad case. A lot of the comments I see are either just, oh, he was a visionary in jest, or hey, people shouldn't make fun of him. This is like ragging on the mentally ill.
Yeah,
I'm like, he's there. I mean, he's already in the public consciousness. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't dial that back.
yeah. And I mean the technical accomplishments that he made were really impressive in the scale of himself. Some really cool stuff, if not kind of esoteric.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wonder if he didn't have this chemical imbalance or whatever he had, if he would have had maybe some more people skills, and gotten to work with a bigger company, he could have done more things with what he was
Bigger
what
things.
He was given.
He had the genius, but the mental disability was holding him back too.
At the same time, I wonder how much of those two are too intertwined. See, a lot of people who are very brilliant over the years who are also very eccentric. Eccentricity is, I mean, we say eccentric. It's kind of an anachronism, kind of an arcane term. This is eccentric, but well, person was alive today, would they be diagnosed with something kind of thing?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, you wonder like how many other diagnoses that we look through a modern lens were like gotten wrong. You know about Alan Turing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Alan Turing. His mental disorder was that he was gay.
Well, I mean, like how it was handled. Like, I mean, like, hey, by the way, we have to chemically castrate you now. Oh.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Date who you want. He helped take down the fucking Nazis. Like, why we give this man such a poor treatment? And so
Well, he invented the computer. I mean, like, in a lot of ways, he was the father of the modern computer. Not modern now, but I mean, like, he's he was brilliant though.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, I mean, I don't really even know what evidence they had that he was, besides him saying, like, admitting it, kind of thing. I wonder if it's like, okay, like, what is a quirk, and what is mental illness?
Yeah.
When you're making threats to Steve Jobs, it's probably mental illness, but when you're just eccentric or quirky, or not normal, for whatever normal is during that time period, you're relegated to the fringes of society.
are you telling me if Alan Turing was alive today, he would be threatening Steve Jobs because he created
I think so.
God's chosen template, God's chosen operating system?
I wonder if Terry Davis would have beef with Alan Turing
I don't know.
because of him not following the biblical teachings of the no butt sex rule. Commandment 11: no butt sex.
Maybe we should submit that to that Rap Battles YouTube channel. Terry Davis versus Alan Turing.
To this date, I've watched one of those. I think I don't remember what it was, but someone. It's always usually a Marine because Marines are fucking idiots. It was a Marine, and I was like, "Did you see this?" And I'm like, "What's this?" And you get that feel when someone has a YouTube video and they're showing you and they think it's really funny, and you're just kind of like, like
You gotta laugh because it's polite and they're your friend.
like hip hop is poetry, but epic rap battles of history are like the Beastie Boys, take on, like not. I mean, it's like the ultra like. I don't know what it is, There was in popular culture, there was a characterization of rap music,
Mm-hmm.
It somehow came to be like, I compare it to either Homer Simpson or Amy Poehler from Parks and Rec. It's like trying to rap,
Mm-hmm.
and they rap like a 1990s after-school special, kind of like that, and like that's not what. Like that was a very brief. I don't know why that was latched onto. That was a very brief in history, like what hip hop sounded like.
Yeah.
Like I can't point to any.
Maybe because it's
any
easy to
hip-hop.
do and you don't require any flow.
Yeah, it's I don't know. The one I saw was really cringy and stuff. I'm like, hey, you looked up some facts about
Well,
this person,
listen to this. Terry Davis's parts can be over his awful hymnal music.
If we use actual quotes by him, that'd be great. Because he had a very colorful mouth on him.
Oh man, I'm just thinking about that now.
I'm picturing it now. Yeah, I know. Some choice phrases.
Should it be Alan Turing or should it be some other like really esoteric programmer? I can't think of anything right now, but I'm sure there is someone else out there at Terry Davis's level.
Gabe Newell.
Gabe Newell? Nah, I don't know. He gave us some good games. We'll leave him out of this.
No, it's too late for that, Yuri. It was always too late.
It's the most bizarre game you could think of. Who wrote that Finnish car game or whatever? You know what I'm talking about?
The My Summer Car?
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote that.
So we'll get Terry Davis and that guy together. And yes, I mean the actual Terry Davis. We're going to go dig up his grave and cast necromancy on him.
This is the invocation, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. That's why it's called this, so we can bring the dead people back and we can have conversations.
This is part of your plan all along.
Yes. I'll give you
Of course.
audio viewers of this podcast a hint. We're both dead. That's why.
Yep.
That's why we sound so boring. Or pundit-like. I
Oh,
don't know.
I remember what I was gonna say. You know the whole those Simpsons predictions,
Mhm.
We're talking about, about, memetics, and popular culture and things being predicted, using random number generators and things like that, I found one that kind of relates to what we were talking about. Like, it was like, Homer Simpson was arguing in court about someone's using someone else's likeness, after they were dead, and without their permission, And he was talking about some commercial for some, like, Oric vacuum. And it's like someday someday after we're all dead, we'll all be dancing with leaders. And that makes me think, like, okay, I mean, what did I almost say? Kirstie Alley. I'm drawing a blank here. Played Princess Leia.
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher. She's effectively like like she's dead, but after she wasn't quite dead, we de-aged her enough, and that was passable. And she's like, how long before studios like are just gonna like license people? Like, yeah, their likeness, is they work for us, and their likeness is ours forever, and they can just go on like selling things ad infinitum.
That was a recent decision for the I think the NCAA or whatever college basketball level. Apparently, that organization owned the athlete's likeness, and the athletes would get like scholarships through college or whatever, but they wouldn't get paid for almost anything. They wouldn't get paid for sponsorships or anything like that.
College,
So
just go on college football or a racket.
yeah, but some court case was won recently where the athletes were allowed to use their likeness. They were allowed to profit from their likeness. So if any video games came out, they were owed royalties and stuff like that. And there's an Onion article about it that the athletes themselves had to remove any of their own likeness so they wouldn't profit from it. They're just like removing their faces.
Dude, that's some Black Mirror shit, man. I mean, like, we don't have flying cars. We have smartphones. We haven't achieved immortality. But I don't know if you're familiar with Baudrillard or simulation simulacrum. The whole kind of like a video drone touched it a little bit. As far as like television is reality and reality is less than television. Like yeah, like we haven't achieved immortality, but we live on through our works, and that's always been true. But now that we have like deep fakes, and we have like computer learning that can imitate the voice too, and we also have something that can predict what someone would say, like, hey, we have a soundboard. Also, we have this AI that's generating responses, based on what this person has said to similar questions in the past. You essentially have a personality that just lives forever.
So you tell me we could feed all these videos into these AIs for Terry Davis, and we can bring it back to continue his work on Temple OS. I think that's what you're trying to tell me, right?
I'm saying that that technology, emerging technology has black-pilled me on the future.
All right.
Oh.
So
you want to bring it around, man?
yeah, I think I have very little else to say. The guy died a couple years ago. He was homeless for a while and doing live streams from his phone and stuff like that. But sadly, he couldn't finish his work on Temple OS.
He was assassinated by a CIA train.
Oh yeah, I heard it was a doppelganger. That's why he killed the first one. Some CIA doppelganger. His words, not mine.
Whatever you do, don't search 4chan archive Terry Davis. They just go on and on about theories.
Alright, so thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Invocation. If you have anything to add, if there's a comment section below, go ahead and leave it there.
Give us your hate in the comments section.
Yeah.
It sustains us.
Especially your hate.
Yeah, sorry if we got a little off topic there. I don't know. It seems like that maybe you had a lot more to say on Terry Davis, and I just kind of spun off what you're saying. But
That's right.
This is good content.
The entire podcast for us, it's we just talk about what we want. So if you don't like it, again, just show us some hate in the comments. It's fine.
Do it.
We don't care. So go ahead and join us for our next week's episode, where we talk about how one of my nipples is slightly higher than the other. And yeah, thank you.
It's disgusting to behold.
Goodbye.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Invocation Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and let us know. You can find a comment section usually down below, depending on where we uploaded it, or you can leave a review for us. You can follow us on one of our social media accounts. We have social media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace. You know where to find us. Thank you.